Greetings. I am your host, Glen Alex, and this is the Glen Alex Show, the 2023 Positive Change Podcast Award winner in health and wellness and psychology. And each episode of the Glen Alex Show focuses on a different aspect of health because I believe in total health. You are whole, and all of you matter. And I am on a mission to help you be joyful, connected, confident, and complete, the life experience I call Wellth, Wellth, which is health plus other riches. So please stay tuned for this special episode of The Glen Alex Show, which is a replay of a presentation I gave on living in total health and true health.
Welcome to the Glen Alex Show, where your health matters, set your mind, let it flow. Joyful, connected, confident, complete. Let Glen Alex help you back on your feet. The Glen Alex
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate your presence and the opportunity to present on True Health. I am Glen Alex, as Nikki said, licensed clinical social worker. With my life's work being about health, I've kind of went into different careers to express my interest in health. And right now, I am a 2023 Marquis Who and Who inductee. My podcast, The Glen Alex Show, won the 2023 Positive Change Podcast Awards for health and wellness and psychology. Living in Total Health has won 3 awards in health and wellness, body, mind, and spirit, and health. True health. For me, true health is about total health and you. Far too much we focus only on diet and exercise. We are so much more than that. We are dynamic creatures. We are a whole. We have physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual aspects that all impact health. So if we only focus on those 2 limited measures, then we're not going to achieve true health, because we are more than that, more than shape and size, more than what the scale says, more than what the measuring tape says. And true health also involves you. Your individuality matters. Your personality, your finances, your work schedule, your family situation, your interests, your goals. Those all factor into health, because if health is not one size fits all. Raise your hand if you can fit these socks.
If what?
If you can fit these socks.
What body part?
Good question.
Maybe my hands.
On your feet. Let's start with your feet.
Yeah.
Okay. Probably. Well, if one size fit all, then everyone should have raised their hands, because these are one size fits all for ladies. So there's no one size fits all approach, so your individuality does matter. So if you account for your wholeness and your uniqueness, then you can be wealthy. Okay? I want you to be joyful, connected, confident, and complete. And that is the life experience I call Wellth, Wellth, which is health plus other riches. I want to start by sharing the darkest period of my life, because it demonstrates how the different elements of total health are impactful. And I was fit. I was very physically fit, yet I was very far away from true health. In 2009, one of my favorite cousins passed away. She had battled with lupus, which caused kidney failure for decades. And she was only 5 days older than me. 9 months later, my mother passed suddenly after she failed to thrive after having major surgery. She was 80. And because of things that happened in my family at that time, I was estranged from my family for nearly 2 years. January 2013, a sister-in-law, she arrested and died alone at home. She was 58. And then in July of 2013, July 5th at 12:08 a.m., my brother Kenny succumbed to prostate cancer, holding my hand. He had just turned 51 on July 4th. Now, the other deaths I could kind of make some sense of. I couldn't wrap my head about why Kenny died. Productive member of society, family man, wife, 2 kids, and he was gone. And the day after his funeral, I had a charity event, an annual charity event that I couldn't miss. So after his repast, I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, catch a flight to go home because I couldn't miss that. So I had to soldier on. Fast forward to November of 2013, I had another charity event. I did 3 or 4 charity events at that time. And so this was a dinner on the first Saturday in November of 2013. And we did a tribute to Kenny as Christy sang Amazing Grace a cappella. It was beautiful. It was moving. And made it through the rest of that night. The next day, I woke up and I was 500 pounds heavier and I was emotionally flat. As the days passed, I knew it was not fatigue. Even though I wore many hats at that time, I worked 6-7 days a week, volunteering, and had my businesses going, I knew it was depression. It was depression. And my intense sadness gave way to depression. Unresolved grief can easily evolve into depression. So I'm thinking, Kenny died. Why did Kenny die? So why should I care? I stopped caring. I stopped taking care of myself. I stopped socializing. I stopped crying. I even stopped making new plans because I really thought I would be dead by summer of 2014. I wasn't suicidal. I just hoped God would have mercy and take me. And so emotions are very impactful on our physical and overall health. As the depression was deepening, 4 friends who I communicated with on a regular basis called me, like they did, and they heard something in my voice. They didn't like it, asked me what was going on, and because I trusted them, I told them X, Y, Z. Pretty flat, matter of fact, this is what's happening. And they took it upon themselves to individually extend me a lifeline. Now, these friends didn't know each other. They weren't in communication with each other. Yet, one by one, they would call, they would text, they would email. And it was some kind of cosmic tag team thing going on. Something greater was at work. I didn't ask them to call. And the great thing about them is they did not try to cheer me up. They did not try to talk me out of my experience. They didn't tell me it could be worse. They didn't tell me other people have it worse. For people in pain, platitudes do more harm than good. Okay, so they didn't do that. They just simply said, Glenn, do you need anything? I'm here to listen. How can I help? And Alice, my mentor and friend since I was in undergraduate school, this woman dispenses wisdom as effortlessly as she blinks. And she was with me when my twins passed through divorce, And after my mother passed, Alice said to me, she said, "Glen, you're the most resilient person I know." And I'm like, well, yes, I am. I took that because it was true. And during one of our conversations during my depression, Alice says, "Glen, I don't know what to say, except don't give up on yourself." Right over my head. Okay. And then Mary Lynn, since learning about my depression, she would invite me to go hiking. Mary Lynn, "Let's go hiking." "No." "Come hiking with me." "I don't want to." So she finally stopped inviting me, and she just said, "Glen, I'll be at your house on Sunday at 8 a.m. Okay. So guess what? On Sunday at 8 a.m., I was ready. So that's the power of relationships. Relationships are very impactful on total health. And so Marilyn picks me up. We get to the path. The smells, the sounds, the critters, the red rocks, the air, all garnered my attention. It's a little shift. We reach a point where we have to scale up a rock to get to the plateau to go any further. I don't like to climb. It was very scary. I didn't want to fall and mangle myself. So I intentionally focused on the hand and the footholds so I didn't slip and fall. So we get to the plateau, walk a little further, and I turn to Mary Lynn. "I want to stop here." She goes, "Okay." She goes on ahead. So I sit there and I take in the air, close my eyes, and it's just me and the sounds, the environment, and the rock I'm sitting on. So when Mary Lynn comes back down, she shares that photo with me. I am so happy I didn't go with her. I don't know how high she was up, but I'm glad I didn't go with her. So that's me sitting on the rock. That's the power of being present and physically active. Depression and anxiety seem to dissipate when you're engaged in either or both. So that was Mary Lynn. Now, a few weeks after the hiking, I had another charity event. Now, while I stopped making new plans, I kept my commitments that were already in motion before the depression set in. I didn't want to keep them, I kept them. And so this was another annual event around the end of January of 2014. And they forced me to take this picture. I did not want to take it. And when I look at it, I see pain and sadness. And I like it as a reminder of where I was, to be mindful, to take better care of myself so I don't get there again. So after this event, I really wanted to cancel the next commitment I had, which was in March of 2014. As a massage therapist, I worked with the professional women's tennis players at Indian Wells in Indian Wells, California. And so after this event, I wrestled with, I don't want to go, but you booked a condo. I don't want to go. They can't find a replacement. I don't want to go. You signed a contract. So as I'm having that tug of war with myself, Alice's words come back to me. Glen, don't give up on yourself. And it was in that moment that I realized I had. And it broke my heart. I love life. I love breathing. I love laughter. I love creating. I love authentic connection. I gave up on my ability to cope. I gave up on my resilience. And to realize that was excruciating. Yet it was the turning point. You see, healing requires the courage to face the negative identity that gets imprinted during trauma and pain. And that's what happened with me. It was hard to see that about myself because that's not who I was. I'm not the kind of person to give up. I disconnected from my personal truth, who I am at my core, who my beliefs and values rely on to walk through this life. So I ended up going to Indian Wells because that was the turning point. And in Indian Wells, I had conversations with Grand Slam champion Lisa Huber. She introduced me to USANA, a supplement nutrition company out of Salt Lake. And Liesl and Venus Williams were instrumental in bringing supplements to the professional tour to help players with recovery and the nutritional deficits they sometimes face because of travel and other things. And so USANA it was founded in 1992 by Dr. Myron Wentz. Dr. Wentz owned Golf Labs in the 70s, and he created the test for Epstein-Barr. And so he used that money to open up USANA because he wanted to help other people be healthy at the cellular level. And so looking through their products, I said, if I'm going to heal, I need to start physically. I need to undo the damage I did during the Depression because I ate and drank whatever I want, whenever I wanted to. I was physically ill, had headaches, I was nervous the whole time, and had more GI upset. And so I said, okay, I need to cleanse, I need to detox, and just reset. So I did it. It was 5 days of low glycemic bars and shakes, vegetables, clear liquids, and supplements. So I made it through the 5 days, immediately saw the results. I was lighter, had more energetic, more mentally clear, things started working better in my body, and I lost 3 pounds. Now, 3 pounds for me is a big deal. It is a big deal. My metabolism is so slow. I can run a marathon and only burn 100 calories. Some of you burned 100 calories walking in from the parking lot, and I am so jealous. So the 3 pounds was a bonus, though that was not the intent of doing the cleanse. So what do we do when something happens in our lives these days? Facebook. I posted immediately after the cleanse, and then I posted a follow-up because I had sustained benefits. I gave up junk food, I gave up processed meats, which I love, sausage and hot dogs, and cheese. Cheese was my favorite food. I lost my desire. So I was able to, I didn't even need to resist those things. I just didn't want them anymore. And I had sustained weight loss. So some of the responses I got were, good job, congratulations, bravo Glenn, eat whole foods and get your body back. Does that strike anybody funny? Okay. So this comment came from another massage therapist. We worked together, and she also dabbled in nutrition and personal training, was very fit herself, so she knew things, and which was great. So she knew about my food allergies too, so I kept the conversation light because it was public, and she persisted that her way was the way. Okay, so I private messaged her, and I said, if you don't like what I post, don't read it or don't comment. Please don't disparage me on my wall. So private messages, she defended herself, and this is why, because I know, right? Okay. If any expert tells you what to do without taking into consideration your individuality, run. So this was my last response to her. She never asked what my goals were, what the intent was, desired food, anything. She never asked about me, the individual. And this was her defense. I am not 99% of the people. I am me. So she was acting out of her past, out of her archive, and then trying to impose that on me. And when I saw this post, I'm like, okay, that's her stuff. She can have her stuff. My stuff is over here. My hands are full taking care of me. I'm not taking on her stuff. And so I put a stop to it. Okay? And that's why boundaries are so important. It is crucial to know where you begin and end as a human being on the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual level, and where another person begins and ends. Otherwise, that confusion can leave you vulnerable to harm. Okay? Boundaries. Now, another defining moment in my healing was I had the opportunity to meet best-selling author Patrick Snow. He offered me the opportunity to work with him to write my own book. And with some depression still lingering, my automatic thought was, why? Then my intuition kicked in and said, why not? And so Living in Total Health was born. Now, Living in Total Health is not a how-to. It has tips, yes, but it doesn't tell you how to do something. You can Google anything these days. Knowing how is not the issue with attaining health. It's the why to. Or as Doug Llewellyn of People's Court fame said, it's a way to. Okay. Now, Living in Total Health is available in the hardcover, paperback, and eBook, although the hardcover is out of print, so I only have a few copies left. And the next slides are highlights from Living in Total Health. Again, just a reminder, total health is about you, the whole person, the physical, mental, emotional, and the spiritual. And by spiritual, I do not mean religious. By spiritual, I mean how authentically connected are you to your personal truth, to your innate gifts and talents. So as you size up your health, whether it's a small, large, extra large, 46, 52, whatever that is, keep in mind, one size does not fit all. Okay? No matter how perfect weight and shape are, they are no indication of what's happening on the inside of the body. Diagnostics are. My sister-in-law was slender, nice physique. She died of a heart attack. My brother was big guy, athletic, active. You couldn't tell cancer was growing inside of him by looking at him. So I encourage, if you're going to start your journey or even want to improve your journey, get those diagnostics. I wouldn't know I had food allergies without the diagnostics. So to know where you are on that scale and what adjustments to make that fit you individually, specifically, get the diagnostics and start there. Movement. Some people don't like to exercise, so I reframe it to activity. And activity to me is any systematic, organized movement. It could be dancing. It could be pumping it up in the gym, or walking, or hiking, or biking, or swimming, or tennis. The greatest sport on earth. And also, if it was all about shape and size, would that be possible? Or that? Even at my fittest, I couldn't do those things. So these ladies have other elements of health, of total health, that they're operating on. Of course, nutrition matters. Nutrition is important. And for those of you who can tolerate whole foods, bless you. If you can metabolize whole foods properly, I'm happy for you. I'm jealous, and I'm happy for you. I can't. I have food allergies and a digestive, 3 or 4 digestive conditions. I can't keep up anymore. So if I were to eat whole foods like she said, then I would create more suffering for myself. And I've done enough for that. Okay? So if you can eat whole foods, great. If you can't, it's important to know that so you can make your individual adjustments. And even if you have a GI condition, the whole foods, and you're not allergic to them, the whole foods can still be problematic. My gastroenterologist told me to stay away from roughage and raw vegetables. So that eliminates her diet altogether, pretty much. So again, if an expert tells you what to do and they don't take into account your individual needs, run. Oh, sleep. Sleep is good. Deep, restorative sleep is amazing. Is amazing. Sleep deficits are associated with neurological disorders like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. Sleep deficits inhibit weight gain and inhibit weight loss and promote weight gain. Also promotes inflammation, which can add weight too. Sleep deficits and sleep disorders are often misdiagnosed as ADHD in adults and children. Think about it. When you are tired and fatigued, do you think clearly? Can you focus? Can you remember? If you can't focus, you can't record. If you can't record, you can't recall. Okay? And are you fidgety or a little restless when you're tired? Yes. Looks like ADHD. Okay? Sleep deficits also interfere with your body's natural healing properties. Okay? So how much sleep do you need? 4 hours? 7 hours? 10 hours? 8 hours? Okay? What are you doing to promote getting adequate sleep?
Exercise, not eating late.
Okay.
Sorry.
My bias is going to show now, just FYI. I think massage is one of the best things on earth. It promotes good sleep and relaxation. It reduces muscular and joint pain, and it just works on a whole host of conditions. Dr. Tiffany Field at the University of Miami has studied the effects of massage therapy for about 30 years. And she said it had a positive effect on everything she studied. The CDC has even listed massage therapy on its recommendations for alternatives to medicine for chronic pain. Okay. Therapeutic massage by a trained and licensed professional is very beneficial for overall health. Emotional intelligence. It's much, much more than anger management. I conceptualize our emotional experiences as layered like the ocean. Too many people get stuck in the feelings, the physical sensations that are accompanied by the emotion. The physical sensations are designed to get your attention, that you're having an emotional experience, so you can pay attention to that experience and see if there's some decisions you need to make. But most people stop there. I worked in domestic violence on both sides, with male batterers, with female batterers, and with the female victims. And all of them stop at the feelings. I feel this way, so I punched her because I was angry. I made him mad, that's why he hit me. Okay? That's not enough to stop there. So I have a client who, 20-something, she lives at home with her parents, and every time she's around her father, she just gets a knot in her stomach, she gets hot. And those are her physical sensations for anger. And so as we unpacked it, just figured out that she was angry with him. And she was angry with him because they didn't have the relationship she wanted. She couldn't understand why he was distant and aloof. And she took it as a sign of her that she was unworthy. Something was wrong with her, that's why her father didn't want to be bothered with her. So as we worked through it and unpacked it, she recognized that that was his stuff. That's who he was. And it had nothing to do with her self-worth. And so she just came to the decision that, okay, I accept the way things are. And so she stopped longing for her father to be different. And she grieved the loss of her hope for a different father. And she was able to move on. So emotions are huge, hugely impactful in health. Mindfulness, the present moment. Raise your hand if you've ever driven anywhere and didn't remember the drive. So maybe one size does fit all. You were mindless. I've done that. I was mindless. Thankfully, I didn't hurt myself or anybody else, right? When our bodies and our minds are not in the same place, same space, operating in harmony, then we are mindless. And when we are not present, we're anxious or depressed. So this is how I conceptualize anxiety. Anxiety is future-oriented gloom or doom thinking. Anxiety tricks you into believing that you must have all the answers, you must fix all the problems, you must do it now, and guarantee it'll work out. That's a tall order, right? And it's unrealistic. We don't have the capacity to know everything. We don't have the ability to fix everything. And we have zero control over the future. So while you're focused on trying to control something you can't control, in real time that produces nervous energy, worry, fearfulness, panic. Because you're not attending to where your power and control are. The only time we have any control over our experience is right here, right now. But if the mind is over there, you're out of control. And that's panic. I conceptualize depression as basically the opposite. It's dwelling on the past. And that presents as either, why did that happen to me? Why can't things be the way they were? Similar issue, we can't time travel and change the past. The best we can do is learn from it. Make good decisions in the present moment, which will positively influence the future. But again, if we're pulled out of time, we disempower ourselves. So in working with the adults, I work with adults who experience anxiety and depression. And in working with them, they're all pulled out of time. And so I created the Stress Less box to help ground clients by promoting mindfulness and mental flexibility. Relationships. My 4 friends who extended me that lifeline, I am happy to be the average of them. I'm very happy to be the average of them. But I will add to Jim's quote, you're the average of the 5 people you voluntarily spend the most time with. You don't always have a say over your coworkers. You don't have a say over who your supervisors are. So if you're working, then you spend a lot of time with those people, right? But your friends, even some family members, acquaintances, are those people that you're spending time with abusive? Do they mistreat you? Are they critical? Do they put you down? Are they hurtful in any way? Or are they supportive? Do they extend you a helping hand? Do they give you space to be yourself? Evaluate your relationships. When it comes to thinking, it is the thought that counts. However, I recommend that you don't believe everything you think. Because most of it is distorted. Cognitive distortions are how we twist reality with our thoughts to fit what we believe and want, rather than aligning with reality, with the way things are. Now, these are some of the most common cognitive distortions that I come across with clients, even though there are more. These are the most common ones that I work with. All or nothing. Black or white. Right or wrong. Always, never. Good, bad. You have no choice. If you don't fit in one category, then you automatically go to the other. How restrictive is that? Okay. The reality is humanity is mostly gray. There's a lot of gray in there that you miss, and you miss your opportunities, you miss your possibilities by holding on to either or. Okay. Well, when you make assumptions and jump to conclusions, I hope you make it to the other side. Nobody in this room makes assumptions, right? Are your assumptions usually positive?
No.
Are they usually right?
No.
Because they're distorted. I'm not talking about intuition, I'm talking about assumptions. Who here, raise your hand if you have trouble taking a compliment.
Oh, she's forcing my hand to. Depends on the compliment.
Okay? Disqualifying the positive. You refuse to see the good in you and other things. Okay? I have a client who, she does what her church elders ask her to do in volunteering. And so after a meeting that she was asked to hold, another member came up to her and said, "Hey, I just want to thank you for everything you're doing." Well, other people are doing more. That's how subtly we do it. Or, "You look nice today." This whole thing. Okay? Disqualifying the positive is blinders. Self-esteem and self-confidence require the acknowledgement of your small wins. They're the accumulation of small wins. If you don't acknowledge those small wins, you're not going to feel good about yourself. Labeling. I am short. In some circles, I'm vertically challenged. I am black. I am. That's permanent. Not going to change. Okay? I'm not going to be 6 feet in 6 months. Okay? Not going to change. It's the same psychological message. I am stupid. I am weak. I am lazy. I am unlovable. Or if you apply the labels to someone else, they're ignorant. Okay? There's no room for change or growth. Very disempowering. Now, raise your hand if you should on yourself.
Yes.
Do you should on yourself?
Should. I should have done this. I should have done that.
before.
That's why I said it that way. You should. You should. You should. I should. There's only one way to be, and you should be that. If you're not that, then you are defective, unworthy, unlovable, useless. How much fun is that? Clients tell me that they should themselves because it motivates them to get up and clean the house or go work out. And I'm like, yeah, really? It doesn't. It creates internal rebellion. Because shoulding yourself is you internalize someone else's standards. Now, those standards may not align with your personal truth, may not resonate with you, may not be what you want, yet you're trying to force yourself to be something you're not. I'm going to go eat whole foods because that's healthy, right? So when it comes to thinking, don't believe everything you think. Thoughts are not facts and often are not representative of reality. Okay. Stress. We all know what chronic and uncontrolled stress can do to the mind and to the body. Stress is demand that is placed on your personal resources, your time, your energy, your attention, your finances, etc. Those demands can be external, traffic, due dates, or they can be internal, the distorted thinking, the shoulds. How well you manage and balance the other elements of health determines your stress levels. If you can keep stress at bay, how you manage it when it's present, and how quickly you recover from it depends on those other elements. Sometimes you might just need a friend to talk to. Sometimes you might need to put your emotions in check. Sometimes it's a boundary issue. Okay? So all elements of total health are interdependent and do affect each other. Boundaries, my favorite topic. Boundaries are much more than just saying no. Boundaries are, collectively, are your innate alarm system monitored by your intuition. And that is defined by your line in the sand. What's over there on this side of the line is okay. That's acceptable behavior to me. What's on this side is not. It's very important to be clear about where your line in the sand is and with whom and when. I worked with a couple for 6 months before I knew they were married. The only thing that clued me off was that they had the same weird last name. It had like 12 letters in it. So I finally asked them one someday, and they go, yeah, they're married. This couple, their boundaries were so good. There was no affection. There were no terms of endearment. And sometimes in meetings, they sat next to each other. Sometimes they didn't, just like everybody else. Their boundaries were so good at work. They were co-workers. And then when we had social events outside of the office, then you can tell they were a couple. So their line in the sand was work. This is who we are at work. This is who we are when we're not at work. Now, some of the issues I come up with, I encounter with clients is into what? Who here is Mr. Red Flag? That was your intuition saying, hey, something's off. This person's weird. They're dangerous. Pay attention.
Oh, yeah.
We dismiss it. We overlook it. We rationalize it. Oh, I'm just being too hard. Or they had a bad day. Okay? Your intuition is very powerful, very useful. Every time I follow my intuition, it's turned out well. No is not enough. Now, again, some people think that boundaries are only about uttering the word no. It's not. And for those who are comfortable saying no, still isn't enough, especially when you get the pushback. Okay? No is not enough. Have you ever met someone and in the first 5 minutes, you knew everything about them? Their children, their parents, where they came from, their job, blah, 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 blah. Oversharing, not you.
Okay.
A lot of things I don't know about you yet is it's inappropriate. No one needs to know that much about you, especially that soon. And oversharing gives abusers and takers the information they need to use against you, to manipulate you, to hurt you, to take from you. Okay? Over yesing. Yes. Can you? Yes. Will you? Yes. I need you to. Yes. Okay, yes. Okay, yes. It's too much. That can lead to chronic stress. Putting too much on your plate, especially knowing that you can't follow through. If you can't follow through, you're going to flake, let some people down, then feel guilty about it, then beat yourself up for what's wrong with me, why can't I get this done, why do I keep saying that later? You're going to depress yourself. And there is an element of dishonesty in that. You say yes, knowing you can't.
I know.
Betrayal. Betrayal is much more than sexual infidelity. Betrayal is a broken agreement. You ever have an agreement that they'll come and fix your plumbing, they'll be done in 3 hours, 3 weeks later, a few $100s more? That's a betrayal because that was not the agreement. When there is an agreement between parties, that sets up realistic expectations that each party, you'll do this and I'll do this, and we're working towards a common goal. When one party unilaterally changes that agreement, it's a betrayal. And betrayal naturally triggers anger. Have a client, 2 managers went to him in February and said, we want to promote you to this position. Are you interested? He said, yeah. So since February, he started studying that position so he can step into it with some information. It was supposed to start April 1st. April 1st, oh, they just said it's not going to happen. He was mad. He was mad. It's a betrayal because they changed the agreement unilaterally. Now, counter to agreements is unspoken or unrealistic expectations. She should know. I thought he would. There was no agreement. I just assumed the other person would read my mind and do and say what I wanted. Have another client who, her sister said, we'll call her Kayla. Kayla, I need to borrow $100. I need to buy supplies for my newborn, for her baby. And Kayla was like, you'll pay it back, blah, blah, blah. Okay, the sister said yes. So Kayla gave her sister her debit card number. Kayla then got a call from the bank and said, there's some fraud on your card because we've got $1,000 in charges that are unusual for you. So Kayla was livid. livid that her sister would do that to her. The issue there was, even though the sister said, yes, I'll pay you back and I'll only spend $100, the sister had a history of not doing what she said. And everyone else in the family cut her off. That's why she called Kayla. So Kayla's unrealistic expectation that her sister would keep the agreement, given who her sister was unrealistic. So her anger was, in that way, inappropriate. She should be angry with herself for believing her sister. Now, personal truth. Personal truth is who you are. Your innate gifts and talents, your intuition, the alignment of your values and your choices. Your personal truth is not your label. It is not your thoughts. It is not your assigned roles. Your personal truth is who you are before, after, and throughout time. And I disconnected from my personal truth and fell into a very deep depression. It was dark. And if it wasn't for those 4 friends, I may be dead or seriously ill because of the way I handle things. There is not a chapter in Living in Total Health that's devoted specifically to mental health, because every element of health affects mental health. And it's the balance of those different elements that will determine your level of true health. Now, that doesn't mean you have to have all of them at 100% all the time. No. We're dynamic creatures. We ebb and we flow. So there's going to be some teetering. It's just how well you balance that, because sometimes your body doesn't feel good, though you can still laugh. Okay? Sometimes you're having a hard day, and then a hug is helpful. So it's about balancing all of those elements of health. And also want to point out that mental health is not the absence of problems. I have clients who come in frantic because they're depressed. Turns out that he never grieved his mother's death. Clients coming in anxious because she just got a new job, moved to a new state, doesn't know anybody, she's isolated. That's a huge adjustment. Life is going to throw us challenges. Mental health is how well you respond to those challenges. It's not the absence of them. Okay? So, I really hope this has been a reminder for you, because I believe that your personal truth, your innate internal wisdom already knows this stuff. We just forget about it, ignore it, look for something easier, simpler. Okay? True health is total health in you, your wholeness and your uniqueness. So I challenge you to evaluate which elements that you can strengthen and help that balancing act that we have to deal with day in and day out. Okay? And let me throw in that if we were individually healthier, guess what? The collective would be too. So true health is great for the individual, and it's great for the world, for humanity. Okay. If you want to learn more about me or my work, please visit glenalex.com. Thank you. You're welcome.
Very well done. Great presentation. Thank you.
I have a question.
Okay.
What is the stress less box?
The stress less box if you're having issues, you can turn your tissue box into the stressless box. It is designed to promote mindfulness, because when you're mindful and present, anxiety and depression don't exist, like when I was on that rock hiking. And the mental or cognitive flexibility, when we are anxious or depressed, we don't see options. We only see one way, and if we're not fitting into that way, then that just deepens what we're experiencing. This is a metaphor for a problem or an issue, and you turn it around in your mind and look at all the different possibilities. So I created this for therapists, but individuals can have it as well. It's nice and to sit on your desk and to pick up when you're having some difficulty or struggles. It's acrylic, easy to sanitize if you share it with someone, and it's personalizable. You can put your own pictures in here.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you.